The Awakening. The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Confederation buzzed with the usual diplomatic chatter as representatives from over 300 alien species discussed trade agreements, territorial disputes, and cultural exchanges. Hovering platforms carried dignitaries of various physiologies, some with multiple limbs, others with none, some breathing methane, others subsisting on pure energy, all united under the banner of galactic cooperation. Commander Elena Shaw of Earth stood motionless at the entrance, her military uniform pristine, her posture rigid. At 43, she was considered young for her position as Earth's chief security officer, but the steel in her eyes spoke of experiences far beyond her years. Behind her stood a team of 12 humans, scientists, military officers, and intelligence specialists, each carrying secure data tablets. The Earth delegation requests immediate attention. Shaw's voice cut through the chamber's ambient noise, amplified by the room's acoustics. The translation algorithms embedded in the hall's systems rendered her words in 300 different languages simultaneously. The assembly's activities slowed, then stopped. The Confederation's High Chancellor, a tall, willowy being named Xorix, with translucent skin that revealed a complex network of pulsing purple veins, rose from the central podium. Commander Shaw. Xorix's voice was calm, melodic. Earth was not scheduled to address the assembly today. What urgency brings you before us unannounced? Shaw walked forward, her footsteps echoing in the now silent hall. Deception. Betrayal. Crimes against humanity. Murmurs rippled through the assembled representatives. These are serious accusations, Xorix replied. Perhaps we should convene a private council. No more private councils, Shaw interrupted, her voice hard as diamond. No more closed-door meetings. Earth has been a member of this confederation for 78 years. We've contributed resources, shared technology, fought in your wars, and opened our borders to your peoples. And how have you repaid us? She nodded to Dr. Maya Patel, Earth's leading xenobiologist, who stepped forward and activated a holographic display in the center of the hall. Three-dimensional images materialized, showing laboratories hidden on remote worlds. The images zoomed in to reveal unconscious humans suspended in transparent tanks, needles and tubes extracting blood, tissue, and genetic material. Project Genesis, Shaw announced, a classified initiative sanctioned by the Confederation High Council 75 years ago, just 3 years after welcoming Earth as equals into your community. The systematic harvesting of human genetic material to enhance your own species. The hall erupted in chaos. Some representatives shouted denials, others sat in stunned silence. A few hurried toward exits only to find them sealed by Earth's security forces. Chancellor Xorix's translucent skin darkened with emotion. Commander, these are grave allegations that require investigation. I assure you the High Council had no knowledge. We have the minutes of your meetings. Shaw cut in, as Dr. Patel displayed another hologram showing Xorix and other council members discussing the human genetic advantage and ways to extract and implement their adaptive capabilities without alerting Earth authorities. Admiral Jackson Chen stepped forward, his decorated uniform bearing the scars of 3 interstellar conflicts fought on behalf of the Confederation. We also have evidence of deliberate technological suppression. The hologram shifted to show classified Confederation directives to limit human access to advanced technologies, manipulate Earth's governments to keep them divided, and systematically redirect human scientific progress away from fields that might threaten alien technological superiority. You feared us, Shaw continued, her voice quieter now, but somehow more devastating. You saw our potential, our adaptability, our creativity, our resilience, and instead of embracing it, you decided to harvest it while keeping us controlled. The Zithran representative, a crystalline being whose species was known for their logical approach, rose. Commander, even if these accusations prove true, they represent past administrations. Many current members had no knowledge. We've analyzed the data thoroughly, interrupted Dr. Victor Okafor, Earth's quantum intelligence specialist. 87% of current Confederation species have benefited from technologies derived from human genetic material within the past decade. You all knew. You all participated. Shaw moved to the center of the hall, directly under the great dome that represented the unified stars of the Confederation. Earth did not come here today for your apologies or your excuses. We came to inform you of our decision. She activated her wrist computer, and on every screen throughout the assembly hall, a countdown appeared. 24 o'clock, 00, 23:59, 59, 23:59, 58. What is this? Demanded the Krell ambassador, a warlike species that had been Earth's strongest ally in recent conflicts. Protocol isolation, Shaw replied. As of this moment, Earth is severing all ties with the Galactic Confederation. All human diplomats, traders, scientists, and citizens are being recalled to the Sol system. All alien entities on Earth and in Earth-controlled territories have 24 hours to depart. The hall fell into shocked silence. You cannot simply leave the Confederation, Chancellor Xorix protested. There are treaties, trade agreements, defense pacts, all rendered null and void under Article 42 of the Confederation Charter, Shaw responded, which states that systematic deception by Confederation leadership invalidates all binding agreements. Your own laws condemn you. The human delegation began to withdraw toward the exit. The representatives of various alien species watched in disbelief, some rising to protest, others beginning urgent communications with their homeworlds. At the doorway, Shaw turned back one final time. For decades, you've underestimated humanity, seeing us as useful tools, adaptable but ultimately controllable. That was your mistake. Her eyes swept the chamber. Earth is closing its borders. Any vessel approaching the Sol system without explicit permission will be considered hostile and dealt with accordingly. The massive doors sealed behind the human delegation with a resounding thud. Across the galaxy, every human ship, colony, and outpost received the same message. Protocol isolation initiated. Return home. On Earth, in the depths of the Himalayan Command Center, Shaw stood before the United Earth Defense Council. Representatives from every nation watched grimly as she activated the final sequence. Protocol isolation is now fully active, she announced. A ripple of energy spread from orbital platforms around Earth, extending outward to encompass the entire Sol system. To outside observers, it appeared as a faint shimmer washing over the region of space. And then, nothing. The cradle of humanity that had broadcast signals, music, and messages to the stars for centuries went completely silent. The universe held its breath, not yet understanding the full implications of what had just occurred. Earth hadn't just left the table, it had vanished from sight entirely. On worlds throughout the Confederation, aliens who had lived alongside humans watched in confusion as their human neighbors packed belongings and departed without detailed explanations. "When will you return?" asked Kreth, a six-armed merchant who had partnered with humans for decades. Captain Sarah Rodriguez shook her head as she handed him a small package. "We don't know. Maybe never. That's the last real coffee you'll ever taste." In research stations across the galaxy, human scientists abandoned joint projects, leaving their alien colleagues struggling to continue without human intuition and creativity. In hospitals, human doctors transferred patients to alien counterparts. In universities, human professors canceled lectures, all returning to Earth without detailed explanations. In the Confederation Assembly, emergency sessions stretched for days as representatives tried to understand what was happening. "We've lost all contact with the Sol system," reported the Confederation's chief communications officer. "Our signals bounce back. Our probes cannot penetrate whatever barrier they've activated." "How is this possible?" demanded the Krell ambassador. "Humans weren't supposed to have technology this advanced." "It seems," replied the communications officer carefully, "that they were hiding their true capabilities." Fear began to spread through the assembly. Species that had dismissed humans as technologically inferior suddenly remembered how quickly humans adapted compared to other races, how they solved problems in ways no one anticipated, how they survived when they should have perished. "We need to know what they're doing behind that shield," insisted the military coordinator. "For all we know, they could be building a fleet to destroy us all." "Perhaps," suggested an elder representative from one of the Confederation's founding species, "we should consider that our actions have consequences. We betrayed their trust." His comment was largely ignored as the assembly debated sending military forces to probe Earth's defenses. Meanwhile, inside Earth's protective shell, a transformation had begun. Free from alien interference and manipulation, human scientists worked with a new sense of purpose and unity. Technologies that had been suppressed for decades were finally developed. In a secure facility beneath the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Patel stood before a wall of genetic sequences. "They were right to fear us," she told her colleagues. "Our genetic adaptability is unlike anything in the galaxy. Now we'll use it on our own terms." In orbital shipyards hidden from alien observation, vessels of entirely new design took shape, incorporating technologies humans had secretly developed despite Confederation restrictions. Commander Shaw walked the decks of the first prototype, running her hand along walls made of materials unknown to the rest of the galaxy. "How long until the fleet is ready?" she asked Admiral Chen. "At current production rates, 5 years," he replied. "Maybe less." Shaw nodded, looking out through a viewport at the shimmering barrier that now protected Earth. "Then we have 5 years to prepare before we show the galaxy what humanity truly is." The silence of Earth was not the silence of inactivity. It was the hushed quiet of intense preparation. And across the galaxy, as months of silence stretched into years, a question grew more urgent among the alien species who had once thought themselves superior. What would happen when Earth decided to speak again? The reckoning. 5 years passed without a single transmission from Earth. The protective barrier around the Sol system remained impenetrable, reflecting all probes and signals that attempted to breach it. The Galactic Confederation, once the undisputed authority in the galaxy, found itself grappling with a new reality: fear of the unknown. In the dimly lit corner of a trading outpost at the galaxy's edge, Kreth the merchant huddled with a group of information brokers. His 6 arms nervously tapped the table as he leaned in. "They're calling it the Earth question," whispered Nolax, a reptilian smuggler whose scales had grown dull with age. "Every major power is obsessed with what's happening behind that barrier." "I've heard rumors," said Vila, a luminescent being who specialized in data acquisition. "Scout ships near the Sol barrier reporting strange anomalies, shadows moving faster than light, energy signatures unlike anything in our databases." Kreth's upper arms fidgeted with the empty container of Earth coffee he still kept as a memento. "Do you think they're coming back?" Before anyone could answer, the outpost's alarms blared. Outside the viewport, space itself seemed to ripple and fold. Where there had been nothing but stars moments before, a vessel now hung in space, sleek, silver, with no visible engines or weapons. Blue light pulsed along its hull in patterns that seemed almost alive. The ship was unmistakably of human design, yet unlike any vessel the galaxy had ever seen. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Confederation space," warned the outpost's defense system over the common channel. "Identify yourself immediately." After a moment's silence, a voice replied in the universal trade language. "This is Captain Diana Rodriguez of the Earth vessel Prometheus. We come with a message for the galaxy." News of the human ship spread faster than light itself, carried by emergency broadcasts and private channels alike. Within hours, the Confederation Council convened an emergency session, and a fleet of military vessels surrounded the human ship at a respectful distance. On the Confederation's central world of Harmonex, representatives from hundreds of species gathered in the Grand Assembly Hall. Captain Rodriguez, a tall woman with close-cropped silver hair and eyes that reflected starlight, walked in alone and unarmed. She carried only a small metallic sphere. Chancellor Vixorix, still leading the Confederation after 5 years, rose from the central podium. Earth has been silent for 5 years. The Chancellor began, translucent skin pulsing with nervous energy. Why return now? Rodriguez placed the sphere on the floor. It hovered, spinning slowly. Earth has been rebuilding, healing, and growing, she replied, her voice neither angry nor friendly, just matter of fact. We've developed in ways we couldn't while under the Confederation's guidance. Are you declaring war? Asked the Kral ambassador bluntly. A small smile crossed Rodriguez's face. If Earth wanted war, you would already know it. She gestured to the sphere. This contains Earth's new position. We are open to establishing relations with individual species who wish to trade or share knowledge, but Earth will never again join the Galactic Confederation. The sphere projected a holographic display showing terms for new relationships, fair trade agreements, cultural exchanges, scientific collaboration, all on equal footing. Missing were the one-sided terms that had once kept humans at a disadvantage. These terms are unprecedented, protested a Confederation elder. What gives Earth the right to dictate? Earth dictates nothing. Rodriguez interrupted calmly. Each species is free to accept or decline, but these are our only terms. Outside the assembly hall, tension grew as more Confederation military vessels arrived in orbit. A nervous commander ordered warning shots fired near the human ship. What happened next would be replayed on screens across the galaxy for years to come. The energy bolts from the Confederation vessels simply disappeared before touching the human ship. Then, without any visible weapon being fired, every Confederation ship went dark, their systems completely shut down. Rodriguez glanced at a small device on her wrist. Your vessels will restart in 5 minutes. No damage has been done. Her eyes swept the assembly. Consider it a demonstration. In the stunned silence that followed, several representatives made decisions that would change the course of galactic politics forever. The representative from the Trader Collective stood first. The Trader Collective wishes to discuss these terms immediately, he announced, ignoring the Chancellor's protests. Others followed, smaller powers seizing the opportunity to establish direct relations with Earth outside the Confederation's control. As the meeting concluded, Rodriguez made one final statement. For decades, you saw humans as useful but limited. You were wrong. Earth has evolved beyond your constraints, and we will not be bound again. The human ship departed as mysteriously as it had come, leaving behind a galaxy in turmoil and a confederation whose power had begun to crumble. 3 months after Captain Rodriguez's appearance, representatives from 57 galactic species gathered at a massive space station constructed at the edge of what was now called Earth space. The station, built by humans in just 2 weeks, outshone even the Confederation's grandest constructions. Dr. Victor Okafor, now Earth's chief diplomat, stood at the center of the main chamber. Unlike the formal robes worn by alien diplomats, he wore a simple blue uniform with only a small Earth emblem. Welcome to the first Sovereign Species Summit, he began. Earth appreciates your willingness to establish new relationships based on mutual respect. The chamber's walls suddenly transformed, becoming transparent and revealing the vastness of space around them. Many gasped as they realized the station was now moving, accelerating to impossible speeds, while those inside felt no inertia. We will be traveling to Earth, Okafor explained, the first non-humans to visit our world in 5 years. Hours later, as the soul barrier parted like a curtain to admit the station, the alien representatives pressed against the transparent walls in awe. Earth had transformed. Orbital constructions of breathtaking scale surrounded the planet, shipyards, habitats, and research facilities that dwarfed anything in Confederation space. The planet itself glowed with clean energy, its once polluted atmosphere now crystal clear. Cities stretched across its surface in harmonious patterns, blending with restored natural landscapes. This, said Okafor, gesturing to the view, is what happens when humanity is allowed to develop without interference or exploitation. As the station docked at Earth's largest orbital platform, Commander Elena Shaw, now Admiral Shaw, waited to greet the visitors. At her side stood the leadership of United Earth. 5 years ago, we discovered that the galaxy saw us not as equals, but as resources to be harvested. Shaw addressed the alien representatives. Today, you see the results of our response. She led them through exhibitions of human advancements. Clean energy sources that required no fuel, agricultural methods that could feed worlds, medical technologies that could extend lifespans across all known species, and transportation systems that made conventional faster-than-light travel seem primitive. All of this, Shaw explained, was developed not to dominate but to thrive. Earth does not seek to rule the galaxy. We seek only the freedom to determine our own destiny. In private meetings with individual species, humans shared different technologies based on each partnership agreement. The Trader Collective received advancements in transportation. Medical species received breakthroughs in genetic medicine. Agricultural worlds received sustainable farming innovations. But most significant was what Earth did not share: the protective barrier technology, the instant communication systems, and the energy weapons that could disable ships without destroying them. These, humans explained, would remain Earth's sole domain until trust was fully restored. As the summit concluded, Admiral Shaw stood with Kreth the merchant, who had been chosen to represent the independent traders. "I still have that empty coffee container," Kreth told her, his 6 arms gesturing animatedly. "I knew you'd be back." Shaw smiled. A genuine smile, not the hard expression she had worn for 5 years. "We were never gone, Kreth. We were growing." She handed him a package. "The first export from New Earth. Coffee beans grown in orbital gardens. Better than anything you tasted before." Across the galaxy, the news spread. Earth had returned, not as a conquered world seeking redmission, not as a vengeful power bent on domination, but as something entirely new, a civilization that had transcended its former limitations and now offered a different path forward. The old Confederation struggled to maintain its authority as more species broke away to establish direct relations with Earth and its allies. Within a year, the galaxy's power structure had fundamentally shifted from a centralized authority to a network of sovereign relationships. On Earth, in the Himalayan Command Center where protocol isolation had been activated 5 years earlier, Admiral Shaw stood before the United Earth Council. "Phase 2 is complete," she reported. 57 species have signed sovereign agreements. The Confederation's monopoly on interstellar relations is broken. President Amara Osi nodded. "And the barrier? It remains active, but permeable for our allies. We retain the ability to seal it completely if needed." "And Project Genesis?" asked the Council Chair. Dr. Patel, now leading Earth's Genetic Protection Division, stepped forward. "We've cataloged all unauthorized uses of human genetic material throughout the galaxy. Most species have agreed to our terms for rectification and compensation. And those who haven't, they're finding that trading without access to Earth technologies is becoming difficult," Shaw replied. President Osei stood, looking out at the rebuilt Earth gleaming beneath them. "When we discovered their betrayal 5 years ago, many wanted revenge. They wanted to use our newfound strength to punish those who had harvested us." She turned to face the Council. "Instead, we chose a different path. We isolated, we grew, and we returned with offerings rather than threats. We became not what they feared, but what they could never imagine, a humanity fully realized." "The question now," said Shaw, "is where we go from here." Osai smiled. "We go to the stars, Admiral, not as conquerors or as servants, but as ourselves. That was always the plan." Across the galaxy, as Earth ships appeared in systems long isolated from Confederation influence, bringing technologies and opportunities previously hoarded by the powerful, a new phrase entered the lexicon of countless species. When Earth severed all ties, the universe trembled in fear. When Earth returned, the universe changed forever.